some difficult challenges in my life, and my business growing, and I was just really struggling. I was kind of trying to keep up, and my marriage was struggling. I was missing my friends, and I was just kind of feeling like super overwhelmed. And I'm one of those people where I get overwhelmed, I just like shut down, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna sleep for 10 hours and just pretend it didn't ever happen. And for those of you that know what Pure Barre is, or that don't, it's something that's very close to a lot of our hearts, and it's a place where we work out. Some of us are teachers, like Jade. Some of us work the desk. But it's kind of our secret home, and I used to work at the desk there, and I remember this beautiful woman would always come in the middle of the day, and she'd just be glowing and just have this positive energy, and I'm like, who is that girl? And like, what is she doing right, like, that I need to know about? And kind of when my world was kind of crumbling, and I was like a year in with Porter, I'm like, I still haven't finished my thank you cards from his shower last year, and I was still working on them. And I was like, I got like one of your newsletter emails that I must have signed up for at Pure Barre. But she offers 30-minute consultations for free. So if any of you find value in this, sign up. So that's what I did with her. And Paul's like, what are you doing? Like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I just need 30 minutes to talk to Teresa and just see if it helps me. And I just need to like clear some debris. And I like came out of the call with her, and I'm just like, I did like 75 thank you cards the next day, and like all this stuff. And she's just been so wonderful for me, because we have big goals in our life, and we want to live our best life and be clear-headed and happy and just enjoy everything. And she's really helped me clear that debris and all that stuff. And even in my own business, I hate talking in front of people, but I feel like having her and Emily, I'm like, I can do this, and she makes me feel brave and all of that. And so tonight, she just happened to be in town. I've been working with her a lot lately, and she happened to be in town, and I was like, oh my God, I would love for you to stop by this event and talk to all these amazing women, just so we could have a fun, positive night and just have fun. And we work so hard, and we put ourselves, hi, End. We often like put ourselves last, especially, if you're a mom or you doing all these things. And so tonight is about you. We're just gonna have fun. And when I thought of her, she was like, I happen to be in Denver because she's from here. So I just feel so fortunate she's here. She's been such a light in my life, and she's just gonna pump us up, make us feel good, help us have a good night, refresh ourselves, and then we're gonna turn on some really loud rap music, drink a bunch of alcohol, and just have a really fun time. This is Teresa. You're welcome.
Yay! Well, hi everyone. It's so fun to see everyone here. And just like Jen said, it's like we're so good at like loving everybody else and supporting everyone else and taking care of everyone else, but when it comes to ourselves, it's like we don't know how to do it, or we forget to do it, or we don't make the time or space to do it. So self-care is so important, and learning how to love yourself is a huge, huge thing. So tonight I'm just going to talk real quick. I just want to leave you guys with a couple of tips to put in your toolbox so you can dig it out when you have a stressful time in life. And like Jen said, I'll do a free consultation. I have a sign-up sheet here too, and you guys can sign up for emails and videos and stuff like that. But before we get started, I want to do a quick breath practice. I always like try to teach everyone. It's like your secret weapon to like stress. So do you guys feel up for that? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Okay, so get comfortable. Even if you're seating, you can kind of do it while you're standing. Shimmy here. Get cozy. Okay. So I'll lead us through it. We'll inhale through our nose for 5 seconds, then you'll hold your breath for 5 seconds, and then you'll exhale for 5 seconds. And we'll do it 3 times, and I'll guide you all through it, okay? You guys ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. So go ahead and inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's go again. So inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do you guys feel? It's good, right? It's so good. So I use that a lot. Like I do at least once a day, and then if I'm feeling like overwhelmed or stressed, like it literally takes like 2 minutes, maybe even less. You can do it in your car or like at your desk at work or just like in the bathroom or wherever you need to do it. But it allows you to kind of just reset yourself and just kind of bring yourself back to the present moment. Because our minds are always running, and we're like never actually really present. So it just gives you a chance to come back and like regroup yourself and get centered. So it's just, breath practices are amazing. I love them. So I always give them to all my clients. I'm like, just breathe, everyone just breathe. So when you're breaking out, just remember, just breathe. And I have like a special recording of it too. So if you guys sign up, I can send it to you if you like. Well, cool. So I'm a life coach, and I specialize helping people learn how to manage their inner critics. How many of you guys know what life coaches are, right? Okay, I won't go into that. And then how many of you know what an inner critic might be? Like what do you think an inner critic is? Anyone? A voice that tells you bad things about yourself. Yes, that's exactly it. So what I like to call it, our inner critic is the negative self-talk we have with ourselves, and it happens more than we even think, and we're not even conscious of it going, and it's always running in our mind, and it's really limiting. It can limit us like so bad. So I'm super passionate about helping women especially learn how to manage that voice, learn how to become in control so that you're not feeling overwhelmed by that voice. And that voice can get really loud, and it can judge us, it can make us have fear and anxiety and doubt, like, you name it, like it'll have a bunch of stuff. Like my inner critic is a perfectionist. How many perfectionists do we have out in the crowd? She kind of went like this. She's a little nervous. Yeah, no. So mine is a total perfectionist, and if I'm like out of alignment and just like not, if I'm like pushing myself and just over giving, like, oh my gosh, like I will go into like freak out mode if things aren't perfect, and I have fear, stress, and anxiety, and like all of a sudden I'm making decisions and living my life from that space, and it's almost like I'm in survival mode, right? Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I'm just trying to get through life, and I'm stressed and I don't like it, And so when we can all really control our lives, right? Like we kind of say we're like slaves to work or whatever else, but it doesn't have to be that way, or I don't think it has to be that way. I think if we can become present with who we are and what we're doing, and learn how to like manage our thoughts and also manage our world around us to kind of support us with what we want to do. And I love seeing all of you guys. Jen was telling me a little bit about everyone. I hear there's some entrepreneurs in the crowd, there's some new moms, there's some people looking to start their own business, there's, she owns a store. Like, it's so inspiring. Like, women, they're just so inspiring. The teacher of my yoga studio in Nam Yoga LA, he said, like 2018, he did a prediction class. He's kind of like a spiritual teacher guy, and he did a prediction class, and he said the year of 2018 is when women will rise into their power. And I totally feel like that's true. If you start watching the media, and like we're all just like starting to step into our power. And I feel like we've always had this power, but we've just kind of been a little bit afraid to like tap into it. We're not like fully brave enough to kind of just stand up for what we want or speak to what we want. And so kind of looping back to the inner critic piece is so to learn how to manage that voice, because that voice will be really loud when you're out of alignment. And so for me, the secret to managing that voice is to actually practice self-love or having self-care for yourself, which can be hard to do if you're a mom and you're working full-time. Like, we kind of just get like everything just kind of takes precedent over ourselves. And so we have to be really adamant about showing up for ourselves and making sure we make time and space to show up for ourselves. And even if it's just 10 minutes a day, just making sure you create that space for yourself so that you can show up and help others. And I was excited with this group too, because I was like, oh my gosh, I have a lot in common with these ladies. That's why I was so excited. She invited me. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I would totally want to be there. Because we're like, some of us are entrepreneurs, we're women. And we are in the business of wanting to help people, or most of you probably want to help people. And that's just a genuine thing I think a lot of women like to do. So, but to be able to show up and do that, we have to take care of ourselves first. And it's totally the oxygen plane mask thing. That's an actual real thing. Like, you can't help anybody if like you're sick and your battery is drained. And like, that's how I always think about it. Like, and that's how I can tell, like, that's my own gauge, is like, if I feel like I'm worn down, I'm so tired, like I realize that I've not made a space for myself to recharge. And like as a life coach, like I have to be like on point and like ready to like cheer people on. So I can't show up to my job like, you know, on a low battery, you know, like, and I don't know what you all do, but like it's kind of the same idea, right? Like you can't show up for your family or your job or whatever if you're feeling low. And to also go back to those annoying negative voices or thoughts. Hi. Welcome. You know, and to go back to managing those negative thoughts, because I'm sure there's some days where you get, like the record starts spinning and you might go down a downward spiral. And that's totally common. And I still get days like that. But the key to like staying, you know, to not going to that downward spiral is just to stay in balance with yourself and making sure you're loving and supporting yourself. So I want to share a couple of tips with you guys that I think kind of help people learn to become present in their life, to kind of work through some of those thoughts. So one thing to do is and I kind of want to bring the topic of balance in. So one thing to do is to kind of take a look at your life and see what you're saying yes to and see what you're saying no to yourself for. And why are you doing that? So like if you find, like sometimes some people, like I definitely have done this in the past, like my inner critic perfectionist like always has like a fear of abandonment or people might not like me. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna say yes to everything. And then all of a sudden I'm like completely worn down. I'm like, this is so not authentic and it's not good for me. And so why am I saying yes to everything? And I'm like, oh, because I'm worried that people won't be my friend. Is this true? No, that's not true. But like literally like that's what we do to ourselves. So like becoming present and like kind of looking at your life and being like, okay, what am I saying yes to that's making me say no to myself, to where it's like not in good balance, and ask yourself why you're doing it, you know? So it's always like a good check-in to do. And especially like, I think women are more like prevalent to this because we want to do everything and we want to stay connected with everyone. And especially if you have kiddos and you're working, like there's just a lot on your plate. And so sometimes you feel like you can't say no. And we'll talk about that. That's going to be my third tip. But yeah, so just, you know, be present with your life. Figure out what you're saying yes to and why you're saying yes and like how and what ways are you saying no to yourself so that you can kind of be like, oh, like I've been totally abandoning myself. And so I haven't been taking care of myself. And so you kind of start to become present of like when you're doing that and why it's happening. And then the second tip is kind of in line with that. So it's like taking inventory in your life. So like looking at your life and deciding, okay, what things have I just been doing on autopilot because I just haven't put much thought into it, but it's actually dragging me down, and see like how you can reshape it, give it to somebody else, or maybe you don't even need to do it anymore or ask someone else to do it, but just really take inventory of where you're at. And maybe this is a weekly thing. Maybe like check in with yourself and be like, how was last week? Hi, come on in. Come on. Welcome. There's some drinks and some treats in the back. Come on in. We're just talking about self-love. Just in time. So you know, taking that inventory in your life and deciding, okay, what is it that I'm doing just because I feel like I have to, or you know, that I'm doing unconsciously and I don't even know that I'm doing, but it's taking up all this space. But just getting really present with your life and really clear about what might be kind of like blocking you. So that's always
an example of what you're talking about.
Yes. So for example, like if you have a very busy schedule and you find yourself like doing something extra, like maybe like always, I don't know what your situation is, but maybe like you're always the one to walk the dog or feed the dog, and like there's another person that could be helping out with it, but you just always do it so they don't ever offer, and you're like, I have too much on my plate, like, but you just like hold on to all of it because you think everything will fall apart maybe. Yeah. Like does anyone else do that? My girlfriend, she talks to me about this all the time. Yeah, well, because I mean, sometimes we just get in this space where like we figure out how to make everything balance. We're like, nothing can change or everything's gonna fall. So we just like, you know, unconsciously keep doing those things. But there could be some space where we might actually be like, you know what, I actually don't have to do this. Someone else could maybe help me with this. And so that rolls me into the third tip, is to learn how to speak your truth nicely. And what I mean by that is learn how to ask for what you need, and be brave about it, because sometimes this can be a little scary because, again, for me, like the perfectionist and like fear of like being abandoned or not being liked, like, you know, I was afraid to ask for what I wanted because I'm like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat, like I'll just do my piece, and like I don't want to cause any trouble. But really I needed help, you know, I needed more space, or I really needed help with something. So learning how to trust and validate like what you need is real and it's okay, and learning to be brave enough to ask for what you need, because sometimes people are actually really willing to help you, but they just don't know because you're so cool and you got it all together and you're like a rock star. They're like, oh, she doesn't need help, and inside you're like, oh my God, I just need some help. But sometimes we don't even ask. So, you know, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to ask, and it doesn't mean that you're weak or it doesn't mean that you can't do anything. But it puts you in this vulnerable space, and I think sometimes we're worried that we're going to be rejected or somebody's not going to see us in this strong light. And really, that's not what it is. You know, especially if you have a partner. Like, it's funny. I think men actually do like being like needed. Like, I think they like to be the hero. I think they like to kind of step in and help. But sometimes I think women were like, no, they can't do it. I'll just do it. You know. But sometimes, like, you know, allow yourself to be vulnerable and ask. You know, ask for what you need help with, and just know that it's okay to do that, and it's for your self-help. And like, again, it goes back to that space of like, if you're not well, you can't take care of anybody else. So it's just giving yourself that permission and that space to just say, okay, like, I need help with this. I'm gonna delegate this, and it may not get done the way you want it. That's also a thing. I think women are like.
And I have something to add to that.
Yeah.
So like, I think most of you know me, but like over the holidays, we go home to do like the whole tour of the Midwest. I mean, my parents like keep getting married and they're good now, but like I have all these parents, and I'm like trying to put everyone in, and my grandma's making me feel bad. And like talking with you and Paul, it was so helpful when she said like, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I'm like, why haven't I ever like, I don't enjoy it. I'm just exhausted and I'm crying a lot because I'm like, I'm trying to please everyone. And when you were like, why don't you just say, hey mom and other stepmom and dad, like it would be really helpful if we could see you on Thursday, and grandma, could you come to dad's house on Friday? Like we have a new kid. That would be like so helpful for us. And everyone like jumped on board. They like totally were like, it was actually more organized. Everyone was happier. But I'm like, I've never done that before, you know, because I was just like, okay, I have to like see everyone. How am I going to do it? And I'm just exhausted. And like, we've never enjoyed Christmas because we're just going. But when you said that, I'm like, I do. I just need to ask. And I'm like a very indecisive person. And so like saying that, it would really help me if we could all do dinner at dad's with grandma instead of me making time to go to grandma's house too. Like, can you come to me? And
that's a perfect example. Thank you for sharing that.
I've never done that.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. I thought of you when I was saying that. It's like, oh, I remember it with Jen. But it's a real thing, because I think, like I said, I think we just, as women, we can do so much. We're so powerful. We're like, we can do anything. And I think we get to this space where we think we have to do everything, and then we get to that overwhelmed space. And then when we're in that overwhelmed space, that's when the negative voices start to get real loud. And then that's when we start picking on ourselves, judging ourselves, and even almost feeling guilty. Like for me, I'm still working through this like whole self-love thing. I didn't even know. Like I was like, people would say love yourself. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what does it really mean to love yourself? But for me, what I figured out, it's like giving myself the permission to rest when I'm feeling tired and not feeling guilty about it, and listening to what my needs are and learning how to ask for what I need, and also to follow what that inner voice says to me, like the nice voice that's urging me inside, you know, to follow that voice and trust that voice. And so I'm still working through my self-love thing, and for me it's a rest thing because I'm my own business owner, and so I feel like I always have to work, and if I'm not working, who's working? So you kind of just feel like you have to work all the time, but like I said, like I will run my battery low, and if I do that, I can't help anybody else. So so that's just what I wanted to share with you guys, those 3 simple tips. I hope you found it helpful, and just know you always have support. I would love to connect with you if you have questions or want to learn more or whatever. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, and this is my passion. This is what I love to do. Know that you have something special. No one is exactly like you. You are the only person just like you. So you have something special. So take care of yourself and love yourself so you can share your light and your gifts with the world. And we need your light. We need each other's light to kind of like function through this world. We need to be together, and especially women, like we got to lift each other up and support each other. So, okay, awesome. Thank you guys. Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you guys.